I'm a full-time working potter, and today I'm going to talk about how I made that happen while you watch me paint this moth mug. I am 22 years old and I've been working with ceramics for 6 years and running my business for 4 years. I'm so happy, and getting to make pottery for a living feels like the best thing in the world, but doing this as my job was definitely not what I had in mind when I got started with clay. So I was very lucky to go to a high school for the arts with an amazing ceramics program, which is where I learned a lot of what I know. Although I didn't learn to wheel throw there, I did learn the foundations of sculpture, and I worked with a lot of slab and coil building. I also spent a lot of time learning to draw and paint, which served me really well later down the line as I was starting to develop my pottery style. And that was all very fun and cool, but it was never my plan to be a working artist. I wanted to travel, learn languages, and live abroad, and during my last year of high school, I had a scholarship lined up to spend a year studying in France. But things happened, and my graduation coincided with the 2020 global pandemic, which really threw my plans for a loop. By the time my year abroad fell through, it was far too late to apply to college, and I was graduating high school with no plan and an accidental gap year in front of me. This was a really hard time in my life. I lost prom, graduation, and my dream of studying abroad to the pandemic, and I'd spent the last 3 months quarantining alone at home with my parents. To cheer me up, my mom got me a membership at the local community ceramics studio, and this quite literally changed my life. I had a strong foundation in ceramics already, but learning from adult working potters who had decades of experience helped me develop my technique, and I also learned to throw on the wheel. During the year I spent at the studio, I was making pottery all day, every day. Morning to night, I was working with clay. Since my dreams of studying abroad had been crushed, I had nothing better to do, and spending so much time with the medium allowed me to really improve, learn, and find my style at a really quick rate. So, about 4 months later, I started selling my work in the Studio Pottery Gallery, and 5 months in, I started setting up tables at local art markets. Making video content came really easily to me, so after a few really popular videos, I started selling work online on Etsy. And I can't place my finger on exactly when this happened, but sometime during this year, traveling and studying abroad stopped being my dream, and I started wanting to be a full-time artist. I made a lot of mistakes, and I learned a lot during this first year, but because of my circumstances, I just had all the time and space in the world to figure it out. And then in the fall of 2021, I moved to Santa Cruz, California to start college at UCSC, very determined to keep supporting myself through pottery. After a brief stint of working at the university co-op studio, which was lovely but just not the right space for me, I joined the community studio in town. Just like my previous studio, I started working alongside experienced full-time potters who guided me and inspired me. It was such a sweet and supportive community, and I made lifelong friends there, including the women that I would open a private production studio with. Now, I think everyone should spend some time in a community studio. I always say that I learned most of what I know from potters and community studios, and it's where I met most of my friends. But my business had begun to outgrow the community space. At this point, I'd been running my business for 2 years, and I was producing thousands of pieces and shipping hundreds of packages a year. The space and kiln access provided with a community studio no longer made sense for me, so 2 women and I decided to get a 600 square foot warehouse space and set up our own studio. We built shelves, poured plaster, got a kiln on Craigslist, and set up our studio. So much went into building this space, more than I have time to talk about here, but it's so perfect and we love it. And it was such a huge business step that came a lot earlier in my career than I thought it would. And now we've been in this space for 2 years, which feels really crazy. Anyways, this was my sort of unexpected journey to becoming a working full-time potter. I think there are so many paths you can take to get here, but if I were to give advice to someone just getting started, I would encourage them to work in community spaces. Observing and collaborating with other potters made me the artist that I am today, and I'm very thankful for those experiences. And thank you so much for watching. Bye!